Today I'm going to show you how to set up the Govee TV Backlight T2. Now you'll notice on the box it says for 55 to 65 inch televisions, but actually there are multiple versions for different sizes of televisions. Now this will work with the Govee app as well as Google Home and Amazon's voice assistant. And you're gonna get into the box here and be able to use this Envisual system with both the TV backlight, the LED strip that you're going to get in this, and other Govee lights. So you're able to synchronize. Now the model number for today is the H605C, and that can be very important for making sure that this video works for you, as long as you have one similar to this. Now you get a few things in the box, and by a few things I mean a lot. So there's a social media card, we get the backlight, the T2 user manual, and a quick guide. But the user manual is quite comprehensive and it can explain some of the details. You're going to notice some little stickers and some little clips that you'll be using throughout the process. This one just clips down some of the cables on the back of your television. These little stickers, you'll see, I didn't necessarily use all of them, and you might want to have other ones. These little clips hold down the strip though, and they also have a sticky backing, so you just peel that off and then you put that over the LED strip. These you'll be using on the corners of your television. You're actually going to stick them to the screen. And then you get a USB-C to USB-C cable. I'll show you what to do with that. But we have an adapter, and then you're going to be plugging that in to a larger control box. Now this is the controller that you'll be plugging the power supply into, and actually lots of cables. It has a power button, a color changing button, and then a music mode button. So you can switch through physically on this, and then there's a little LED light. When we turn to the side, this is where you're going to plug in your power for the device, and then that's actually the mic port sitting beside it. Then you'll notice two USB-C ports on the side. This is the camera unit, and this sits on top or below your television. It's heavily weighted on the bottom here that we're looking at right now, and then you've got the ability to bend that as you need to get it to look in the right way. Now at the top of that are two cameras that will be looking at the television screen. They really don't see anything else. You'll see that a little bit later. But overall, this is a really nice looking unit. There's a little bit of cloth on the top there. It's big, but it doesn't really show in a darker room. Now, of course, we have the LED strip itself, and this comes with 3M sticky tape all along the back. But as you get to kind of get unrolling it, what you'll notice is that there are some segments, and this little black part of the cable, and I'll explain those in a minute, but you can look on the front, the LEDs are right here. Each one of these is an LED. You won't find any cut points on this that you're going to want to use. There's a few on there, but in general, you're just buying the right one for the right size of television, and then everything kind of works out. So don't buy a version of this and then think you're going to put it on a television of a different size. It's not going to work out. One thing you will notice with the camera is that it has a USB port on the back, and you're going to plug in that USB cable, the USB-C cable, into the back of that, and then that will eventually go into the controller. So we can go ahead, plug that in, and then we are nearing the end of the prep portion before we go and install this. The other port we're going to plug in the LED strip into. So now you've got both of those plugged in. You can plug in your power adapter, and this is how you're going to end up with the whole system set up on the back of your television. But we've got to do that first. Now, Govee, I've just plugged in everything, and Govee tells you not to do exactly what I'm doing. So I don't want you to do this, because these LED strips get very hot when they're in a reel. They produce a lot of heat, and so inside of that reel right now, there's a lot of heat going in there. So you can actually cause it to burn out, cause damage to your strip. Don't do that for a long time, but I thought you might like to see how it looks. Yeah, look, there's their warning. Bad Brian. So here's a little demo. That's just the music mode, turning that on. Here's just the colors. You can cycle through the colors using this. But honestly, there's a sticker on the back of this controller. You're not going to be using that controller a lot. You'll be using the app, you'll be using the voice assistants and other ways to control this. So those are just the different things. As you click through the music mode, you can just change between. There's a bunch of different music modes, so you can just keep clicking that button. And again, that mic port is what is causing the strip to react when you use this. But let's get this installed on your television. I'll show you how to do all of that. The first thing you want to do is measure your television. Now you're going to want to make sure that it fits within the size. The way you're going to measure that is diagonally. Now I was just showing you a 50-inch television. That's not the one I'm using. This is my 55-inch television. It is prepped, and the first thing you want to do is actually clean off the surface, get it dry. Then you can start the process of planning out where you're going to put these strips. You'll want to think about where you're going to end the strip. And what you're going to notice is that you have kind of two lengths of the light strips, and then they end up at these parts without an LED strip on them. So what you'll notice, see right here, I'm using the smaller or the shorter end, and I'm going up my television or down my television, and you're just kind of planning that out. So that's where I'm going to start, is going up my television, and we're going to start at the back end of the whole strip. So what you have to plan out right now is where your power adapter is going to end and where your power is coming out. So keep in mind as you start this process that you're gonna land the power adapter somewhere in this. So you gotta choose whether that's on the left or the right side of your television. Now, as you get this mounted onto your television, just slowly go up very, very carefully, moving along every half an inch, even less than half an inch. And if you can slide just to get all of the air gaps out of this. Get that affixed to your television, and that's why it's so important that you had cleaned it off the first time so you're not sticking to dust and other things. Now, as soon as I get this one on, I do like to do a clip. I kind of left my LED strip strung over the top of my television so that it wasn't hanging down and pulling the rest of the strip off while I did this. So just get it kind of braced a little bit so it's not pulling down, and then get one of those clips on right away. This will hold it on well. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to get it all perfectly aligned and everything, but if you can get that on there, that's great. Now you can go to the top of the strip and do the same thing. So you just peel off that backing and stick it on near the top. Now, obviously you're dealing with a lot of angles on some televisions. This type of clip might not work for you, but in general, I found them really good, and it doesn't need to hold the strip down completely tightly. Now, the next thing you're gonna do is try and turn this corner, and this can be a difficult part of the process, but those little cable components makes it really easy. Try not to worry right now if you're making the loop a little bit wider than your television, but you do in general want to start a little further in. And this is where, before you start this second strip, you just kind of check where it's going to end on the other side. So it can be really helpful to have another person with you as you're doing this, and then they're kind of looking, okay, here's where the strip's going to end, and then you start the strip across the top of your television at the right spot. So again, you can see I'm kind of bracing my LED strip because I don't have help, and then I'm going along and I'm making sure all of those air gaps are out. And you can see it was already coming off a little bit in that corner. They can come off a little bit. That's okay. You just get it back reaffixed, and we will worry about getting all of this clipped down and looking really nice after. Okay, so we'll be able to clean this up. Don't panic now. I'm just holding down that clip again just to make sure that it's staying on there. I'm going to add additional clips to the top of my LED strip. So I've added the two, and now I'm going to make my loop, You can see actually it's looking a little off. Again, we're gonna make this all look perfect after this. It is gonna require some extra clips, and I'll show you those, what I'm using, in just a moment. But get this set up, check where it's gonna end at the bottom of your television, and start the same process moving down the TV. So I'm at the bottom of my television here, and I'm gonna make one more loop, and we're gonna turn the corner, we're gonna go down the bottom of the television. Now often these are a little bit tricky. I even had an air gap to go across here, so you might have some funny things to deal with as you're going across this. That's okay, this strip, it's very sticky, it'll handle it, and you've got those clips to deal with this. So again, we're gonna take that same process, peel off the sticker. I like peeling it off just a little bit at a time for trickier segments. So you just kind of go 3 to 4 inches, pull that off, and then keep going with your hands. As I'm moving across any of these, when I don't have a groove, you can end up going up and down a little bit, and it might not be even. You can see mine's not very even. This doesn't matter in the long term. You'll never notice that unless you're looking at your television. But I was actually going up and down so I could get to this part where I had this bit of a gap, and there's actually nothing behind that strip right there. So it's just kind of touching on the very bottom of my television, and that's the best I could do. So now I've come to the end. You can see where I am at my television. I'm happy with that final resting place. If I wanted to, obviously I could have started a little bit earlier at the bottom here, a little bit more to the left, and then I wouldn't have anything on the right. Now we've got to clip all of these LED strips down. I didn't do the left side of my television. I didn't do the bottom of my television. So I'm going to clip those down with a couple more of these, and then I'm going to show you the last trick for getting this all looking really nice. So now we've got a few things to deal with. We can start to look at our controller. You can see my power cable's kind of hanging down. I put the camera on top, it's kind of hanging down. So I'm starting to decide where I want to put the controller. What you have to do here is, again, make sure the back of your television is clean, make sure it's dry, and then peel that sticker off the back of this. Now, truthfully, you could mount this anywhere. If you wanted to put it at the bottom of your television, these cables are long enough, or you could get a USB-C extension type of cable, or a longer USB-C cable that fits this purpose, and then you could put that anywhere. But that would leave a lot of cables around your place. So you got to think about how that's going to look. I'm just putting it on the back because honestly, the smart features work out much better than trying to use that controller. And the little light on it can actually be very bright. So if you're going to put that in a room, you might be a little bit frustrated by this blue light that comes off of that. Now, you just start to prepare where you're going to put those cables. You don't have to finalize any of that right now. And you're going to notice that I've plugged in the other USB-C cable. Now, that is coming from the LED strip itself. It's quite long. It's going to make it to the middle of your television if you're buying the right size of Govee T2 Backlight. So that's all lining up. We've got our controller situated, but we've got to clean all of this up so it looks good and we can move the television in the future. So let's do that. Now I'm just gonna cut off the very end. You can see it's barely leaving anything. If I wanted to, I could cut off any of those copper leads. So what you'll notice is that there's a little copper on the end of that. You could cut all the way through that. You don't want to go into the strip any further though. Then I purchased these kinds of clips. These are all different kinds of cable clips, and those can go on the back of your television and clean all of this up. Now the little ones are probably the easiest to use. All you do is you get the cable threaded through. It works really well with the USB-C cables because they are flat. So the little guy, you just get it in there and then you clip it down. You just push down and it clips into place. And obviously you've already taken that sticker off. But this gets you to the spot where you can get this cable wound exactly the way you'd like. You might want to add 2 or 3 of those, but then I took one of those larger clips, and because I'm not mounted against a wall here, I can use those. I can tie up a number of the pieces of cable here from the camera, and I'm not putting any tension on the camera because, you know, keep in mind you could pull that off the back. So you just need to get it so it's relatively clean, and you can always adjust these little clips later. So pull off the sticky tape, get it mounted the way you'd like, and then we're just about done. So you can see I've got 2 or 3 of these little cable clips all over. And it's just getting my cable running the right way. My controller is mounted using its sticker, and I actually didn't put any stickers or anything on the camera. But when we come up to the corners of the television, we still have to deal with this LED strip. Now, I could use this style. Because this is a flat cable in the corners, that might not hold forever, but it's held for me to date. So it's just another option. I wanted to show you guys another option for the type of cable clip that you could use. And then here's what I did. Yeah, that's right. I went full Canadian and I used hockey tape, and I just put it across that little gap so it didn't sneak out of there because it is that flat cable. Nobody's gonna look on the back of my TV, but you know, you also have these in the box from Govee. You have a couple of these, and these will work really well to clamp down these corners. You can pull it a little tighter so you can see that little bit of cable sticking out the side. And if I just pull a little bit tighter and I get this kind of pulled in and then stuck on there with that kind of tension on it, it's gonna hold pretty well. Again, your television, the back of your television, it has to be clean during this process. And you're gonna wanna hold that kind of tension. You're gonna wanna hold that for a few seconds. Make sure it gets stuck on there so it doesn't slide. This should allow you to clean up all of the corners, all of the cables. Everything should look pretty tight, pretty clean. And now you're ready to get into actually setting this up and using it. Now, of course, you could have set this up before you put it on the back of your television. And if you're kind of worried that your Wi-Fi might not reach where you are, where you're going to install this, then I would recommend that you do that. Now, I'm gonna power it up. We're gonna get into the Govee app, and then we're gonna get going. So here's me putting it in the back, and just plug into your power. You received a number of orange stickers, and what you're gonna be doing is putting them in the 4 corners of your television. They have a little sticker themselves. Don't press very hard. You don't wanna hurt your television screen. You could even put this on the frame if you have more of a frame. I don't really care. I have kind of an older style television, so I wasn't really worried about this. It didn't damage a standard LED screen. But if you're worried about that, just put it on the frame around the side. And the truth is, you don't even necessarily need these stickers, but they do make things very easy. Now, it can be a little tricky to figure out where to put the ones on the midpoints. So just measure where those midpoints are on your television. It should be fairly easy to find those. Then you're gonna go into the Govee app. You need an account with Govee's app, so sign up for one if you don't already have one. Then hit the plus, and in a lot of cases, you can search by the name, or you can actually hit that little Bluetooth button in the top right, and it'll just find the device powered up in front of you with the Bluetooth on your phone. So you don't even need to necessarily do it that way. There you go, I used the Bluetooth function, it popped it up right away, and now it's making a connection physically between your phone and the Govee T2 Backlight. Now they want you to go press the button on the back there. You just hit that, then the app will find it, and you have to rename the device. Rename it to whatever you'd like, because you'll be using that name in some cases within the app and then within your voice assistants. Then hit done. And now they're gonna give you a little video on how to install. So in a lot of cases, they're assuming you're doing this before the installation, and they're gonna basically walk you through that in a lot of cases. Now they're just doing a little automatic calibration, But through this process, you have to tell them how you mounted the light strip. So you can see I've chosen the third option, and that's because I started at that bottom left and I went up and to the right. When we had the television turned around, it would be the reverse of that. So just confirm the way you did that. Then it'll search for Wi-Fi, and you're gonna have to put in your own Wi-Fi credentials, okay? You're gonna have to choose your Wi-Fi network. Yes, it requires a 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi network. Put in your password. And then you can see we have it requiring us to put those stickers on the television. Good news, we already did that, and they will show you the process that you have to take. You just have to stretch out this box to the edges of your television. So they're gonna show you what the camera's seeing, and you can see those little orange dots. And this is why you don't necessarily need the orange blocks, because you can actually walk up, the camera will change, and it will show where you're pointing. So you just walk up, point to those corners of your television, the middle point of your television, and get it calibrated that way. But you're just basically moving these edges to the different parts of your television to make sure that it can identify what is where on the screen. So this is what it looks like in the end, and then you're gonna hit confirm. The good news is you can always redo this calibration if you run into trouble. Now we have pretty much everything set up. They want to do a little bit of a white balance. They want to do a couple of little things in the app here, but in general, we can just start to use this product. So now we have the controller on the back. Everything's been set up. I just wanted to show you how all of that works. You see the power button is just on and off. We have the color button. You can cycle through the different colors. And then of course, we can change into music mode. There are multiple music modes, so you can cycle through those using that controller as well. Inside of the application, you have an on and off button on the main home page. So you can hit that. What you're gonna notice is that it uses Bluetooth to make most of the connection. So it's asking you to get close to the device to do most of this. Even though it's connected to your Wi-Fi, the Wi-Fi allows other kinds of control. But then you can go into the effects lab. There's all these different effects, and you can just start to play with this. Within the effects lab though, there's even more. There's just basic colors. You can kind of go through different themes, like, okay, here's the jelly bean dessert theme. These effects are more of the ones with animation to them, so they'll move the lights across either sections of the LED strip, or they will actually just do it across the whole strip. So different colors that just kind of appear on the strip all at the same time. But I think in a lot of cases, you're gonna really love a lot of the color movement effects. And there's just an incredible amount with this LED strip. Within the effects lab though, you're gonna find all these different effects. So things like sunrise, I just hit on that. It'll actually increase the brightness over time. Sunset does the opposite. It'll eventually turn off. I think the time frame is about 15 minutes. Then there's all kinds of effects that cause the lights and the colors to change over time. And you just have these movement-like effects. They have different themes here. You can see there's a movie theme, there's a music and games and all kinds of things. There's even relaxation themes. So there's all kinds of things that you just want to play through or play with here. And then there's kind of the gaming lab. Now the gaming lab I don't think really works on this kind of a product. In some cases, Govee's products with gaming effects, you can actually kind of play a game with them. The car effect that you're seeing here is really just an animation playing through, but it looks like a game. The other one here, this Harmony Lab, it actually plays some sound off of your phone. And if you were Bluetooth connected to another speaker, it would play through that. So that can be a nice effect. And actually you can use that with multiple Govee lights to kind of create a whole room effect. Now inside of the app, you're going to find mostly the mode you want to use is the video mode. That's going to use whatever's on your screen. You've done all that calibration. It's going to decide that's the colors we'll be putting on the television. Now, there is some impact with the lighting in your space. So the darker it is in your space, the better that video section or that video effect is going to perform. The colors, you can actually do colors on the strip by segment. So you just tap on the different segments or the different parts of the light strip that you want to change. You can see I changed right there. I changed the yellow or I changed to yellow, and it's just by selecting those segments and then hitting the color that I'd like. You can also change the brightness on each of those segments as well. So you can adjust that at any time if you'd like. So here's the video usage or the video effect being used. You can see how big of a change it is between different scenes. It's really using the corners of the television because we did that calibration, and it's providing a backlight. Now you have saturation and brightness control within this effect. So you can bring both of those up or down. So if you don't want it to be so colorful, then you can actually turn that off. Now there is a movie watching dream view feature at the top of this that allows you to synchronize other products. So I'm in the video mode, and there's the relative brightness and those kinds of things. Now, the movie watching dream view is the way to synchronize multiple of your products. So within this page or within this option in the app, you're able to pick the different Govee lights. So you can see I've got one over there in the corner, and it is being used as part of the video synchronization feature. This is a really great way to bring in other Govee lights into your video synchronization. Again, you can use the brightness and the saturation controls to adjust them all to your liking. Now, this isn't even everything that you can do with the T2, but you should have it set up, and now you can explore the app, look into their automations, look into some of those other features, and really enjoy video, movie, game synchronization with the Govee T2 Backlight. If you like this tutorial, make sure you join the channel. Otherwise, you can check out our other setup videos here on Automate Your Life Tutorials. Thanks for watching, and of course, don't hate, automate.